All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. This is State Fair 101, so we're going to go over some very basic things. The first thing I'd like to do is for those of us that work primarily on State Fair items to introduce ourselves. So my name is Autumn Levine. I do work for the New York State 4-H office. My role has actually two parts to it. One is if you've seen lots and lots of emails from me about international exchange, that's a big focus right now. But the other half, and the reason that we're here, is that I manage the New York State 4-H youth building at the New York State Fair. And I coordinate many of the 4-H events and things that happen in that building. And I'm also the point person at the State Fair when you have questions or you may have run into challenges while there or even before you arrive. So that is my role. I also am the liaison between State Fair administration and the New York State 4-H office. So I'm the one that talks to our contacts there and negotiates different aspects of our participation. I'm going to hand the mic over to Wendy as she's just off to one side of me in the Hollywood Squares. So Wendy.
So my name is Wendy Richardson. I'm an educator in Herkimer County, and my State Fair role is the evaluations coordinator for youth building exhibits. And I am here to talk about some of the new changes, though honestly, the fair book, for those of you who have returning to the State Fair, nothing's really changing as far as the actual State Fair. So looking forward to just going forward and improving what we already have.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. And Robin, since you're right next to Wendy, I'll kick it over to you as your role with the State Fair.
Hi, everyone. I'm the 4-H Horse Show Superintendent at the State Fair. We just horse around down there a lot. So.
All right, thanks, Robin. And then right next to Robin on my Hollywood Squares is Brian Akama. For those of you that may not have met Brian, he has stepped into a position in animal science and will be handling a lot of those things. So Brian, if you want to take a moment to just introduce yourself, especially since some of these folks may not have met you yet. Where'd Brian go? Uh-oh. I think we lost Brian. All right, well, I'm not sure where Brian went, but Brian is working diligently right now to, oh, there he is.
Back, sorry. So I'm working on a different station today. So I am Brian Akama. I'm the new specialist for livestock and companion animals up at Cornell. So I'm very excited there. So I oversee all animals except for horse and dairy at this point.
All right, thanks, Brian. There are a few players that are not at the table today, and that's it's just simply because of availability, but I am sure that if you have questions, they're more than happy to assist. We have Brianna Hughes, who is in the animal science department. She handles horse related items. And Debbie Grusemeyer handles the dairy program. All of the other species, those are folks that are superintendents for the New York State Fair, and their role is a little bit different. And I'm sure we can define that a little bit as we move along. So I am going to do some screen sharing. Again, this is the basics. So if you are new, which by the way, let's do a little bit of a waterfall in the chat, if you don't mind. If you would put your name and what county you are with, that would be fantastic so that we can catch that. I see a lot of new names. And so we want to make sure that we're reaching out and connecting to folks. So type that in there and everyone just go ahead and hit enter when you're ready. All right, excellent. So I hope everyone can see my screen. This is kind of what we're going to cover today. There's a lot of information. There are a lot of cogs in this big machine that we call the State Fair. And they all have to coordinate together and work together to make it a successful event. It is a very large undertaking from many, many different directions. And ours is just one, believe it or not, small part of the whole big picture of State Fair. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to move over to our website. So hopefully everyone has been connected to the staff website. The State Fair information is actually public facing, so you should be able to find it whether you log in or not. So this is what this looks like. If you are not subscribed, there is a way to do that. If you go and click, if you look for New York State 4-H staff news, and then it'll give you the opportunity to do that. If you have difficulty or you're not sure, please just send me an email and I'm more than happy to help you get connected. But this is a work in progress right now. As many of you know, Jen Bassman, who had handled much of our communications efforts, has left the New York State 4-H office. And so many of us on staff are picking up the pieces and trying to keep up with some of these things. And honestly, website design is not my forte. So I am doing the best I can to update as I can and as I have the ability to do so, as well as asking the state team to assist to get information updated. So if you scroll down, and I'm actually going to go all the way to the bottom of the page because we're talking about the grounds. And so on this website, you will find a picture of the New York State Fairgrounds. When you're coming to Syracuse, you're going to be trying to get to gates 6 and 7, which are off of State Fair Boulevard. State Fair Boulevard is this long stretch right here down towards the bottom of your screen that runs from gate 1 all the way down to gate 7. Okay. You'll notice that there are some things that are labeled like gray lot. Gray lot is one of our parking areas. It is actually usually the preferred parking area for our 4-H educators. And it is also the only lot that allows overnight parking. And that overnight parking is more or less exclusive to 4-H and FFA participants. We have to get special permission in order to have overnight parking. So I'll talk a little bit about that more as we get into understanding passes. If you have questions, please do pop them in the chat or put your hand up so that I'll be able to see who might have a question. I will also take questions at the end of the presentation. So this is what the grounds look like. This looks very benign in comparison to how massive it actually is. Across the street here, so we have State Fair Boulevard and we have this gray lot. Across the street there, that is where there is brown lot parking and orange lot parking. The parking permits that you will be putting in requests for are generic parking permits. They are going to be good for any of the parking lots, gray, brown, or orange. So we no longer, for those that have been here for a while, we no longer have to request specific parking permits for the different lots. It's one parking permit. And as of right now, those parking permits are daily. I have not been informed that they will offer a 14-day parking permit. So that means that instead of ordering a multi-day parking permit, which I totally understand is a lot easier than having to order multiple dailies, you do have to order multiple dailies. So for instance, Robin, if you're coming up and you're saying, and only say I Robin is because I see your face. Robin, if Robin is going to come up for 5 days and needs 5 days of parking, she's going to need 5 individual parking permits. So that will affect the number of passes, credentials that you will be asking for. So as you head down State Fair Boulevard, the entrance in order for you to get out onto the grounds is actually going to be gate 7. They usually don't let cars come in gate 6. Gate 6 is an exit gate. So gate 7 is an in gate. Gate 6 is an out gate. So you're going to look for gate 7, and that's going to be on the far side of this lot here. It's actually like right before you go under an overpass kind of a thing for the highway. Then you will find, so if you're trying to reach the youth building, what you will do is you will follow a road all the way around this parking lot to a gate back here that is called gate 11. So when we talk about a lot of gate numbers, they're very well labeled for the most part. Gate 11 is the only drive-in gate in order for us to gain access to the youth building. So you'll drive in gate 11, and then you will drive down this road right here. Okay, that actually, we're really lucky because that takes you right to the end of the 4-H youth building, which is right here. Okay. One of the special things about the 4-H youth building is that we actually butt right up against the Native American village. So there are some parking restrictions that you should be aware of. You cannot park on the Native American property when you are unloading your vehicles and moving into the New York State 4-H youth building. You will be, however, able to park in front of the building and on either end of the building if you are moving in prior to the open of State Fair. You will also be able to do that lovely drive up to the building if you are picking up your projects the day after Labor Day. I will be arriving at State Fair Monday afternoon before fair opens, and I will stay until 1 p.m. on the day after Labor Day so that you will be able to get your exhibits in early and then retrieve them after State Fair has actually ended. It is much easier to do that, and State Fair, quite frankly, does not want folks driving down through the grounds while fair is in session. It's a safety issue. There are days that we can't even get ambulances down through those grounds. So it gets very congested with foot traffic. And so that is why State Fair has moved us in the direction of moving in before fair opens and moving out after fair closes. If you are in a county that, let's say, has a late fair, a late county fair, or you have let's see, a very late county fair or one that runs into State Fair, something like that, that is causing you to have to make the decision to come and move into the building early or late or move out early, you need to connect with me because I have to make special arrangements in order for you to do that. Anytime you try to access the grounds during fair, you will have to have a delivery permit. So make sure that you order yourself delivery passes. They will not allow you to drive on the grounds without a delivery permit. They will not allow livestock trailers onto the grounds without a black lot permit. So if you have exhibitors, you have kids that are going to show livestock, they need to have black lot pass trailer permits if they have trailers. Okay. Again, I'm giving you a ton of information. Please do rest assured this is recorded so you can catch it later. And you are also welcome to email me at any time.
Autumn, can I just ask a quick clarification question on that?
Mm-hmm.
So the black, they also, to bring livestock into the fairgrounds, if it's for off the times, right? They need a delivery pass too, correct?
Yes.
If they're bringing hay or something in at
If
like
they're
11.
yes, correct. So the livestock black lot permit is just for the trailer. It is not going to give people access to the grounds to deliver their hay, to deliver their feed, any of that type of thing. They will still have to have a delivery pass as well. I know this is a lot to try to keep track of. And so it's best to try to make a list as you talk to your 4-Hers, you talk to your families about what their plans are so that you can provide them with the proper permits. So this is really a huge nutshell of what the fairgrounds looks like and how to gain entry. Okay. Gray lot, I will say, fills up very, very quickly. Some people have found a lot of success in parking in brown lot if you do not have to haul items in, if it's just you, because brown lot is literally right across the street from like gate 4 which is a great entry point because it's really close to the youth building and you don't have to do a lot of walking through a parking lot to get to that particular gate. State Fair also has very large contracts with the New York State Police. And so if you're worried about the traffic flow or the amount of people that are walking around, New York State Police are there stationed at every gate. They are stationed down along State Fair Boulevard as well as within gates for security reasons, for traffic control reasons, and for a multitude of other needs that people may have. So there is a lot of police presence on the state fairgrounds to assist people. Okay, I can tell you that there will not be heavy bus traffic as we experienced way back in 2019 at these gates. That bus traffic went back out to gate 1, and to the best of my knowledge, they have decided to keep it there. So this here that I'm pointing to, this is actually called gate 10. That is a drive out gate so that people can exit at that point, but it is also a heavy foot traffic gate. So they do have one there to let people in and out of. We have spoken with State Fair. I'm still making sure that this is adequately communicated, but there are limited gates that open before the public entry time. So you should, if you have exhibitors that need to be able to gain access to the grounds before the public opening time, they should be able to gain access at gate 9, which is right off of gate, these gates here in Gray Lot, should be gate 9. That one will open early for entry. Gate 11 is open almost all of the time if you need to drive into the grounds. That is not a foot traffic gate. That is a vehicle gate. And then I believe it is gate 2 and gate 4 are open 24 hours a day and will allow you foot entry into the grounds. Okay, I will get more to confirm that as I hear more from State Fair and as we continue to chat with them about how all of this is going to work. So this is the grounds. I'm going to go ahead, and since I've been talking a lot about passes, I had someone ask me, can you please tell us what these passes are? And I said, sure. So I put together this that I will share with folks. So New York State Fair tickets, I have sent a Google form for folks to request passes. Please do not request excessive numbers of passes. Prior to Zach Bukowski being in his position, there was someone else who handled it in a different manner and would send a percentage of passes out. Zach, because he has to issue digital passes, needs an accurate, as close to an accurate accounting as possible. Last year, he had people that requested 300 passes, and then they returned 250. So please be really conscious of how many passes you are requesting from that offer. The mass majority, as I understand it today, are going to be digital passes, but the New York State Fair is still settling their contract with the vendor for those types of passes. So I don't have a definite answer on that yet, other than the majority will be electronic. So parking, New York State Fair parking tickets are for any lot, as I said. So there's no longer separate passes for the different colored lots. It is just a parking permit. There is a exhibitor pass and there is an entry ticket. An exhibitor pass is for those that need to gain access before the public opening hours of the state fair. So someone that needs to come in for the poultry contest, someone who needs to come in early to feed a goat, any of those types of situations, those would require an exhibitor pass. An entry ticket is one that is for anyone who's coming during regular fair hours. So those are slightly different. And the gate folks will turn people away if they only have an entry ticket and are trying to get into the grounds at 7:30 a.m. because that entry ticket is not not giving them permission to be on the grounds before the fair opens. Delivery passes are what you will need in order to drive into the grounds to deliver something while fair is in progress. So if you are bringing projects and exhibits into the grounds prior to fair opening, or you are coming and picking up your exhibits after the close of fair, then you don't need that delivery pass. There won't be anybody at those gates. It really is from the opening of fair on August 23rd until Labor Day that you would need a delivery pass.
Questions on the chat are the age that youth get in free, and it's below 12, correct?
I believe so. I need to confirm that. I actually have a phone call with Christina today to confirm a couple of things. So I can ask her that and confirm, but I do believe that is correct. 12 and below is free entry. Yes, the deadline for passes is fairly early though. So the deadline for passes, in all honesty, used to be April 1st. You would have to make a request by April 1st. So to have the request by July 1st is actually giving us a lot of time. I would say look at your numbers from last year. If you know that you're going to have an increase in participants, it is a guesstimate. What they're asking us not to do is these massive overages of ask. So one county, again, they asked for 300 passes. And in this case, they sent them 300 paper passes, and then they returned 250 to my office. So that was, again, we're just getting back after the pandemic. This might be hard to gauge, but if you run out of passes, we can work together as a system, as also work with Zach to get you additional credentials. I know that sounds easier than it actually is, but it can be done. So we work together to fill any of those kind of holes if somebody didn't get a pass that they needed, or
Questions in the chat.
Yep.
Do they need both an exhibitor pass or an entry ticket? And I am thinking once they're on the grounds, they don't need both. They just need
Correct.
one or the other to get them on the grounds.
Correct. It's just understanding when they need to have access to the grounds. So again, if they're coming for a competition, like let's say they got to be in there at 7 a.m. to milk their goat for the goat milking contest, they're going to, well, I mean, hopefully they're staying on grounds when it's that case, but if they're not, they need an exhibitor pass. If it's just somebody getting into the grounds, grandparent who's going to come watch the horse show or something, technically they really should only have an entry ticket. Exhibitor passes are for exhibitors. You're going to send out a Google. Yeah, so I did send out, Linnea, I did send out a Google form. It was in the last massive email I sent with a state 4-H update of State Fair. I also believe you can find it in the blog that is located on the website. I will resend it as well when I send the recording of this video and any other items that folks may have missed or need to connect with. But it is just a simple Google form to let us know what county and how many of each pass that you are requesting. This is me preemptively collecting information for State Fair, so that Zach Bukowski does not have 52 people emailing him individually and people's emails hopefully not getting lost in a barrage of stuff sitting in an inbox. So I'm really trying hard to just make sure that things are communicated in the most concise manner possible.
I think that's all on chat.
Okay, all right. Just thank you, Wendy. Thank you for helping with that. And then you have the livestock trailer permits. Those are for Black Lot. Those are for anyone that has a livestock trailer. If you're bringing in goats, if you're bringing in beef cattle, dairy cattle, whatever that may be, they will need a Black Lot permit for that livestock trailer. So I think that covers most of those that I had questions about when I first sent out the pass request. So let's go back here. Okay, so that kind of goes over the grounds, goes over tickets. I jumped a little bit ahead, but that's just, that's how things kind of go. So let's talk about the youth building a little bit. Booth spaces. Your booth spaces have been assigned. I have maxed out the square footage in the 4-H youth building. Every single foot of youth building floor space is designated for either a district or a display or something that, you know, a group that has reached out to me that I was able to accommodate. I have not been able to accommodate everyone because I am focusing on making sure that districts have as much space as possible. Now, in doing this, I did send out, and it is also available on the website, a planning document. I can show that to folks if you would like later on. I don't want to take a lot of time to dig around and reshare screens and stuff, but there is a planning document that will help districts figure out who will be manning the booth when you plan to move in, how many, if you're a district that decides every county will bring X amount of exhibits, however you want to do that. The planning document is there to assist you in that process. There are also some additional planning documents that can assist you in thinking about what you should bring to State Fair and so on and so forth. Those are all available on the State Fair website. I do believe I have those particular documents uploaded at this time. So again, if you can't find it or you have questions, just reach out to me. I am more than happy to point you out where to find it or help you in any way that I can. Great question, Robin. You will not receive tickets from me. I am just being the communication messenger. The tickets will come from Zach Bukowski. So they will come to each county from the State Fair. I'm just making sure to collect the data and the information so that it all goes to Zach in one file rather than 52 separate emails. Dorms. If you've never stayed in our dorms before, it's an interesting little space. Actually, it's an interesting, very large space. The dormitories at New York State Fair are managed by the New York State Fair. They hire the staff that work in those spaces, but they work very closely with me to make sure that the space is managed in an appropriate way. The dorms, to describe it, is kind of like big open rooms with bunk beds. Hundreds of bunk beds. We have the capacity to house 600 females and 400 males. There's 2 separate sides to the dorms. There are specific dorm forms. Adam Davis usually works on that for us. And right now he is very, very deeply involved in getting CareerX up and running for next week. So as soon as he completes working with Alexa on CareerX, he will work on getting our dorm registration information updated, and we will get that sent out to folks. If you have a family that is choosing to not stay in the dorms, there is a dorm exemption form. That form is something that you will have the family fill out. So if they're staying in a hotel, they're staying in a camper, they're staying someplace other than the 4-H youth building or the dairy barn, they will need to sign that, and you, the extension staff, hold on to that form. It does not come to my office. It does not go to the dorm office. It is something you hang on to for your county records. Dairy exhibitors are permitted to stay in the dairy barn, but that is the only other lodging as far as like a dormitory type space available on the grounds. Anyone else is usually either commuting, staying at a hotel, or they have managed to secure a camper spot. I cannot speak to camping situation at this time. It has not been shared with me, so I do not know what that will look like or when they will release the information to register for camping. As soon as they do, we can make sure that that gets shared, but that is an option. If they stay in a camper though, they do need to fill out that exemption form. The other part of staying in the dorms is that any youth who would like to stay in the dorms may, as long as they are properly chaperoned. A chaperone can be a county educator, or it can be a county volunteer or parent. Every adult that stays in our dorms must have a background screening. And as the county educators, you will sign off that those folks have been approved to stay in the dorms. So that is part of signing the dorm registration form, is that it does have to have an educator signature or an authorizing signature in order to stay in the dorms. Please do note that these are New York State Fair dorms, which means any youth may stay in the dorms. So we do anticipate we will have wrestlers, we will have volleyball players, we will have basketball teams. They will utilize that space as well, but they have to follow our registration process and our background screening and authorization process. So everybody follows the exact same requirements and regulations when staying in the dorms. Activities. One of the things that comes up is, we want to have lots of activity in our building. And so we encourage counties and districts to have some sort of hands-on type activity that they can do with fairgoers in their booth space. I have collected some supplies for that type of activity. I will let folks know once I inventory it, what is available and how much I have of these things. Some have been donated from counties that needed to get rid of some stuff. And I said I would take it for State Fair because we can put it to good use. We also tried to provide some activity kits that counties can sign out so that it does not put any more of a burden on your budgets than absolutely necessary. Activities can be very simple. Sometimes counties have done seeds, like starting seeds. Sometimes they just do an informational kind of thing. There's a lot of possibility here. So that is the activities that are offered in our building, along with some of the booths that get set up. So shooting sports will return. The poultry science booth will be there with our incubation of baby chicks. We will also have the dog booth returning. We are working on space for the horse program and for a mock-up Breyer horse show. We will have potentially the energy bike in some spaces. Project Linus will return as a community service option. So there's lots and lots of things that are planned for activities in our building, and we do love for our district booths to also have activities for the fair growers. Keep in mind that we have anywhere from 50 to 100,000 people that go through that building on a daily basis. Events. We are just starting to populate our events information, and that I have been able to get updated on the website. So let me see here. We'll go back to the website. Again, this is a work in progress. I'm working on it as much as I can as I move along and as I get information. But here in the New York State Fair information section, we have the youth building events and activities. Most of the registrations for these have opened or they will open soon. So we will be doing a public presentation invitational. They've offered 3 dates for that. Jamila is working on that with the PWT, and we will have more information on that soon. But in addition to that, WEP will be returning. There is a registration link available in the Business System Launchpad, and I have created flyers for all of our events so that you will be able to share those. They are meant for print only. If you need them in a different format, please reach out to me so that I can assist you with that. Now I have to try to get back to where I was. Things where they shouldn't be. There we go. Okay. So we have WEP. We have the Great 4-H Cook-Off, the Fair Food Face-Off, that is coming back, so that will be available. The 4-H Cupcake Showdown is brand new. Renee Hopkins is putting this together for us, so there are details about getting kids registered to participate in this opportunity. We will have Produced in New York returning 2 days. They will be back-to-back days for youth to participate in that, whether they participated, however your county determines that they can participate to the state level, that will be available. We have updated and are working on moving our fashion review ahead and into the 20 whatever century this is. Fashion and textile review. We want to see kids work in this area. So if they make a quilt, this can be shown. If they've done a recycled item, this can be part of this fashion and textile review. This is not something that is that the event itself is not evaluated. The kids' projects will have already been evaluated. This is their chance to share what they have learned and why they are so proud of what it is that they have put together. So this is ever evolving and changing, and this will be offered towards the end of fair to accommodate some of our late arrival counties. Those are the events that I have currently for the youth building. We also will be hosting the chicken and turkey barbecue again. We will have the Egg Chef Challenge in the youth building. And I'm always looking for other things to fill space. But at this time, the stage has something booked on it almost every day of the 13 days of fair. So I'm really excited that we will have that type of activity on a daily basis. So this is available here. As I was talking about the dorms before, dorm information, when it is updated and ready, will be posted here. I am in the process of updating the schedule as I get information from our animal science superintendents, so that we will have a full schedule for people to look at. I am currently waiting for the premium book to come back from State Fair with full approval. I have gone through and edited things. If I do not get that approval by the end of this week, I'm going to post it anyways, so that you all have the most up-to-date version. But nothing has changed in there in terms of our evaluation classes and criteria. None of those things have changed. It's really just changes in scheduling, changes in any kind of rules that State Fair has in terms of entry of grounds, that type of a thing. So if you have the 2022 premium book, you have all the correct and up-to-date information as far as fair classes are concerned in terms of the youth building. Animal Science is working on their updates right now, and they will get those out as soon as they are completed. So this is the 4-H youth building premium book. There are different premium books for the two different departments within youth development at the New York State Fair. Okay. Back. See how we're doing here, because I want to also make sure others get a chance to jump on. That takes care of that. So yay, now we can hand this over to Wendy for evaluations.
So last year was so great to be back at the youth building for fair, but we have lots of improvements on what we had last year, suggestions for judges, and I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I can get to this. So if we go to, and hopefully you can see the New York State, to find everything, she said fair, it's right here on the page. And when you click on that and you go down, exhibit information, this is the newest cards or tags on your exhibit would be found here. We have a print version, and we also have a fillable PDF. And I'm going to go to that. Let me go back. Oops, I've lost my. Let me stop sharing that and go to the actual forms. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the tagging your exhibits in the booth. So this is our new form that we have. And on this form, it has fillable information. So I typed in Herkimer and it automatically fills that on the 4. We are going to print them in our district, North Central District. Each county has a different color assigned to them so that it's easier to find in the booth. We just ask if you do print on that you use a lighter color, not a darker color. So our goal is to have it when the public walks by the booth, they can see these tags, these square tags on the exhibit and find their name. We've left space for longer names. I'm using my granddaughter as an example to show you, but there's 4 of those. And then on the back of the card is the information that used to be on those green cards that we got from State Fair that are no longer available. The thing I want to point out is on the universal evaluation form, we have added some more information at the top of that form. And it's to match this one. So where this says exhibit description, that's where if this tag falls off your youth exhibit, we can get it back to the right one. So if they entered two different things, I don't want this to say just textile, but that it's an apron or that it's a quilt. I'm using an example of a horse painting named Gem. And then for variety, this class for painting and fine arts, that's what I chose. DB is the section of fine arts. One is for the painting, B is acrylic painting, and the number 1 is traditional framing on canvas and not painted on something else. You gotta make sure you have all those numbers in class. And then if you're doing like vegetables for horticulture, your variety would be the variety of tomato. So your exhibit is a tomato, but the variety is the type of tomato. And that should be on the packet. And then hopefully signed by you, the county. And I actually put this on the wrong line, but that's okay. You get what I mean. And then my other form that we have updated was this one, the universal evaluation form. We gave the judges needed to know years in project, how old the youth were when they're considering this. So we've added that on there. Here you'll see the section and the class should match the back of that evaluator tag that's on their exhibit. And then this exhibit description and the variety should match that tag that's on the project. So in case, when they get separated, when they're put back together, we make sure they're on the right thing. So I just did a little evaluation of what we're looking for. This form is still a work in progress. We're trying to work out all the bugs. But the main thing we want from the kids when they put in their exhibit is, what did they learn? What did they learn in this project? What are the steps involved? And so I've just kind of did a general of, how we would answer each of these questions. So the steps, I talked about blending the colors in the background and matching colors and learning how to use a color wheel. And then where it says, what are the challenges? Well, she watered down her paint too much and it ran. So she had to blot it with a tile and redo her background. And then what is she going to build? She's going to try doing watercolors, so that was my example. On the back of the form now is where the judges will be writing all their comments, and their judging will be on the back of that form. We had it all squeezed on the front of the form, and it just was not enough room for kids to write. So we have it that way. This is a printable form, so they can write it out by hand, or it is this fillable form. Both are available on the website. There are just some things I want to cover that were common questions that we get about evaluations and when we're deciding what to go on to State Fair. So I just want to go over some of that. So when you're deciding what to send to State Fair, this discussion for the State Fair Evaluations Committee before COVID, whatever, it was all about mastering of a project. So I want to explain what that means. So if you have someone that is entering baked goods, and it could be cookies, pies, cake, they're all mastering different skills. So they are allowed to enter a cake, they are allowed to enter a pie, they're allowed to enter cookies, because they're all, like pies would be, maybe rolling the dough, and cake is all about, following the recipes or finding healthier options, whichever. But I do want to say we're not entering 3 pies. If we're entering 3 pies, that's the same thing as if somebody entered 3 tie-dyed shirts. It is one thing learned, how to make pies. It is not 3 separate exhibits to go on to State Fair, even though one might be blueberry, one might be apple, one might be peach. It is all the same skill mastered. And there may be exceptions to that, and you can always email me if you're up to State Fair, when you're trying to decide what to send, you want clarification, I'll help you with that. But I just want to use an example. Last year for STEM, we had someone that made 3D printing models. They were all different models, but he didn't do anything different for each one. They were all the exact same process, the exact same learned. So it ended up being judged instead of 3 separate things, it was judged as one. So that is what I'm trying to explain. when you have things going on to State Fair. We have had someone enter 10 different items in fine arts, but they were all different. So they did acrylic painting, they did watercolors, they did line drawing with pencil. So they are all different. So they were allowed to enter the 10 different items. I had someone recently ask me about food because they have somebody that enters, you know, maybe 10 different food items. Is that too much? Should we limit it to 3? And I said, as long as they are all different skills learned. That's the thing when you're looking at the exhibits or how many, it's that they're learning a different skill with each entry. As we said, there are no more green cards from State Fair. We knew that going into State Fair last year. So we're saying in place of those, we are printing off that exhibit tag, the State Fair tag, and filling that out with the kids' names that'll be exposed on the front. They'll be square, a quarter of a sheet of paper that should be good size to be visible for the public. And I said, just make sure that we have matching descriptions so that when the teens come back and put things in the booth or if a tag falls off, that we can get that evaluation matched to the project. Please help us out there. I think I went over the universal form. Okay, the last thing is the exhibit inventory, which is where you list off each of your items. We have changed it this year. I'm not sure if I have that open. Nope, I don't have it open. So, but on the exhibit inventory, this year we made a checkoff list. And so there is, before you leave the fairgrounds, when you are setting up your booth, it gives you a checklist, make sure you did this, that, and the other thing. It just is common, repetitive errors, mistakes, things that are forgotten, however you want to word it, that we have found over the years. So we're hoping that's helpful this year to you when you're dropping off and setting up your booth, since we are doing it by district. Let me see. I just asked for our evaluators this year, we are not judging in the center. They are going to the district booth and judging in place this year. We are really excited about that we feel that it's going to keep the booths more orderly than having to tear everything down and bring it back, and the travel just for the judges to do that. But in order to do this, we take my copy in the evaluations office. We take apart that exhibitor inventory page by page. So we ask when you print it that if you go, each section has 19 room for 19 exhibits listed on it. If you have more than 19, say, horticulture exhibits, we ask that you copy and paste that whole page onto that Word document before you start adding in more names. What we had last year were half pages of one category, half pages of other. So we had to make photocopies, and we had some that got missed when they were crossed off, or it just made it really hard. So we just ask, as you're putting those in, if you have more than 19 exhibits for that category, that you copy and paste the whole page. So that we have 2 whole page. I'd rather have blank space on a page than have 2 different categories. It just makes it easier for the judging. Let's see. So hopefully just some real highlights, just to reminders, or if you're new to State Fair, we have changed State Fair judging to be during the first 5 days of fair. So I have a heavy evaluator presence that will be there the first 5 days. Food is done the first 2 days. I have, I think, 8 judges that are just working on food for those first 2 days to get that done while the food is still fresh. And then I want to also let you know that horticulture and STEM will also be judging during the first 5 days of fair. And then if anyone is coming in late, we'll see what you have for exhibits so that we make sure we have evaluators, I guess, on call to bring in to make sure we're covering your exhibits. At this point, I do only have entomology specifically on the first day of fair. That is when my judges will be available for that. if we do have someone for some reason that things are not going to be in place by that first day of fair, you have to let me know. And I don't know, I will try to make arrangements with someone to judge those. And my last thing, I really want to make a quick plug. I am looking for photography judges. I'm actually reaching out to our local college professor to give me some names. My photography is really hard because professional photographers, it's wedding season, they're busy every weekend. It's hard for them to get in and judge. I'm looking at possible students. If you have a 4-H'er that it's aged out, that was fantastic in photography, please send me those names, email them to me. But photography is definitely the one that I'm still lacking in for evaluation. So I really need photography. I think that's it.
All right, thanks, Wendy. The only other thing that I think I will mention is that we had a request, as well as we are aware that there were some challenges in terms of evaluators giving good constructive feedback. We know that that's sometimes challenging for folks. And so I have worked on a PowerPoint presentation that will get shared system-wide for you to be able to use with your local evaluators. And we do plan to use that with our state level evaluators to educate and to work through how and what are the best practices when giving constructive feedback. Because telling kids that they did a fantastic job for everything doesn't help them improve, and being overly critical does not help us either. And so we are aware of some of the challenges that occurred last year, and this is our first steps in beginning to address that at the state level. And so as a result, we also felt we would share it with folks so that you may use it at the local level if you so chose to. So that is coming. The presentation is done. I just need to do the recording so that you will have 2 different types of presentations to share with people as you determine is necessary and what will work best for you. So the last thing that I'm going to do before I hand this over to Brian is mention that I will be sending out available times left for the stage and for our demo kitchen. County educators are welcome to reserve stage space or demo kitchen space if you want to utilize it for, let's say you have a theater group that wants to do their presentation, or you have organized within your district, you organized a talent contest or a talent exhibit, something like that. You can reserve stage space, you can reserve demo kitchen space to do your own district or county level types of events or activities. So for instance, Delaware County usually reserves the stage for about a 5-hour block so that their kids can come up and they can do public presentations in front of a moving audience and have a different level of experience when giving public presentations. So if you have a need for that, or you're curious to know more about that, just reach out to me and we'll see what we can work out, because we really do want to have as much activity in the building as possible on a daily basis and to maximize any little bit of space that we have in the building. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over to Brian, because I know he's got some new things to kind of share in terms of the animal science world.
Hey everybody, so and sorry I had some technical issues in the beginning, but I think we're hopefully worked out here. So like Autumn said, I'm Brian Ockham. I've been here for a whole whopping month in this position, so I'm totally playing the new card. They've all told me that is going to wear off very quickly. But prior to that, if you don't know who I was in Broome County as a 4-H educator, and then most recently as the Associate Director of Agriculture for Broome County for 24 years. So anyway, so we're gonna go right on into State Fair, a little bit different than Autumn and Wendy in the fact that most of the animal science shows are not just 4-H, right? They're youth shows. So they both encompass 4-H, FFA, and breed organizations. The only 2 shows that aren't like that are horse and dog. Those 2 are both just 4-H. 4-H, sorry, but the rest are all open to breed organizations and FFA programs. So it's a wide range of youth organizations that can participate in our programming. A lot of the stuff that I'm working on right now is stuff that should have been done, as Autumn said, several months ago. So I'm trying to play catch up. at this point. So I have taken the lead for our animal science team. So in our animal science team, we have Debbie with dairy. We have Brianna Hughes and Jessica Tice with the horse, and then we have Tatiana Stanton, who's the goat, but only for 2 more weeks. She is retiring the early part of July, so that is going under myself also. And then we have our Barbara Jones, who is our administrative assistant that keeps our team running and keeping us all straight in what we're supposed to be doing. So with that, so there's a couple things that we're doing as we start looking at events. Some things that were limited last year, livestock skillathon, our livestock judging, all that is back full force this year. You'll notice that in the premium books. Poultry science, so Marianne Whipple, who has been doing it for years, has stepped back a little bit. So I'm actually up at Camp Oswegatchie with the FFA advisors today, and they are going to take the lead on the poultry science. So the hope that is that we will still be able to do the poultry science contest up at State Fair this year for 4-H youth. So we're pretty excited about that partnership that we have there. We'll take the lead on a couple contests, and they'll take lead on a couple contests so that we're not duplicating and run our contests together. So excited about that. As far as our premium books, like I said, they should have been done months ago. I am currently taking the lead. How do I say this politically correct? But I am taking the lead and meeting with the superintendents one-on-one to try to get this premium book updated. Our goal is, so Animal Science has got a deadline of June 30th to have the entire Animal Science premium book updated. This is typically done at the State Fair office, not in our office. And traditionally, hopefully after this year, it will go back to the State Fair office. They're still doing a lot of it, but my patience, I needed to continue to go and move forward. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. So we are working on that. We do have a few new superintendents in the animal world. So Judy Blodgett, who's done the rabbits for several years, has resigned from her position, I believe, as of last year. So we got Nick DeMarco, who is actually going to be taking on rabbit. I guess he's worked with Judy for a long time, so he is taking the lead on the rabbit. And then we have Beth Allison, who is going to be taking over the sheep. They're both new onto this. The challenge for both of them is they are both, one's a kindergarten teacher and one's a high school music teacher. So getting a hold of them this week and last week was pretty much non-existent. So I'll be working with them in the next week to get that all updated. So on that, not a pile has changed in the animal science world. However, one thing that is changed, so kids will still have to do show works, right? So in the animal, when the kids are registering their animals, they will have to go to show works, which is through the New York State Fair, to enter their animals. So they've always had to enter 2 ways. So one way is through show works with the State Fair, and the other one we had a paper copy where the kids would have to fill out papers with animal information, their exhibitor information, along with the exhibitor letter. And then that would get sent to the superintendents, the state 4-H animal science staff, and also the State Fair. So this year we are going to try something new. We're trying to take the paper copy out and go to a Qualtrics form. So I am going to share the Qualtrics form to kind of show you. This is still a work in progress. Like I said, Barb Jones has actually been working very diligently on this for us. This is something that we decided just a few weeks ago that we needed to do to get the information that we needed, as we weren't able to get that through the show works on that, and try to make it as easy as possible and to make it as user friendly for our kids. So our hope is that this will be much easier for you guys at the county level, and also for our superintendents. So some of the superintendents have seen it. So I am going to share it with you now if I can pull it up. Oops. Can you guys see that? Okay. All right. So when we look at this, so I'm going to have to show it to you because some of these are required, so I can't necessarily show you what it would look like published, but I'll show you. So this is what it would look like if it was a preview that the kids would be able to see it. It's just very simple. right? And I'm going to go back to the other way, but it's going to have all the information. So if you think about those forms that we've always turned in, it's basically exactly what's on those forms, except for on a digital opportunity or digital copy for us. One thing to note, animal forms and animal entries are due August 4th. That's really a week earlier. That is a state fair has asked for that, not us. So that is state fair asking for an increase in a week. So everything is due August 4th for animal science. So that's pretty used. Last year was August 12th. It's pretty usually been the second Friday. This year it is the first Friday. So there's really a week ahead of time on that. So you'll notice it's on a lot of the same information's on here. So it talks about the show works, how kids must complete the show works, the New York State Fair website by August 4th, have this same on here. It talks about talking with your local extension. It's a lot of the same stuff you're on here, but I'm gonna actually stop sharing this. And you guys back to the registration. So these are what we're asking. This is the first page. So we're basically just asking for the youth exhibitor's last name and first name, their full address, exhibitor's phone number, their email address, their youth county of residence. And this will be important in a second. Organizing youth who's representing State Fair. Is it FFA? Is it 4-H? Is it breed organization, right? Which one is representing this on there? If it's a breed organization, we need the name. And then so it does ask for county of residence, and then what county are they actually enrolled in? We realize and acknowledge that a lot of the kids may live in the neighboring county, participate in the county, but so that's where we're going for on that. So that's what you will notice that was a question we got asked. Age of youth exhibitor as of January 1st, their exhibitor's month. And then do they need any special accommodations? So if they do hit yes, it'll then bring up another question for them. So this is not something that we typically have asked, but just trying to be inclusive to all our kids' needs. We are asking that on here. So like I said, if they hit yes, it goes to the next question. If it no, it just bypasses that question. Exhibitor's parent or guardian name. This is something that typically has not been on there. We just felt for our own staff and also the superintendent's information. So if there's an issue with a kid or something like that, we know who to contact. We have a phone number. We have who's their guardian, who's their chaperone for them while they're at the fairgrounds. And then on the bottom, it talks about the 4-H educator, advisor's name, advisor's county, and their phone number and email address, right? This is where we need this information, and then we will at the end, and I'll talk about that in a second. So that's the first section. That's just a very basic overview. So sorry, I'm going to keep going. So then that's the first section. Then it goes into lodging. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this. Autumn did touch base with this already. But will the youth be staying overnight? Yes or no? If it is a yes, it then goes to the next question. Where they're staying, it talks about the link to the release form. So they'll be able to click right on that form, right on that link. It'll be an active link. We'll go right to the form that Autumn showed you already. Dorm registration form. It'll take you there for that also, that they can send on to their county on that. And then it talks about the chaperone information. So we are asking that. So that is every kid that is going to be registering needs to go through that process. So it's basically the same stuff we've done. Once they go into that, we'll then go by species. So let's say so they will have a choice. Are they showing beef, dog, dairy, dog, the goat, horse, poultry, rabbit, cavy, sheep, or swine, right? So if they click on one of them, whatever one they click, it'll then go to the series of questions that goes along with that. So let's say they're going to beef cattle. So they click the beef, it then brings them over to this group of questions where it talks about the exhibitor's information, what they must know. It talks about they must own lease. They see the New York State Fair Premium book. And it's just got some rules and regulations in here, and it's got the beef superintendent's information on there. So if they have any questions, they can email directly to the superintendent. It does ask what rotation they're in, what showmanship division in, is it novice, junior, senior, housing, Are they going to be staying in youth or open? These are all just standard questions that are in there that have been in there for beef for a long time, and they can go right in to the premium book to answer that. And how many beef are the kids showing? That's really for the superintendent to know as far as lodging and where to tie the animals in. And then just basic information. So they'll be able to put their breed, their section letter, working with a premium book to get all this information on there. So they will have that premium book on here. There'll be a link to the premium book so that they can go on and find it out, what class that they're in. That's pretty standard for all of them. As we go into the dairy, it's a little bit more because they do have, the dairy does have the same kind of questions. But like Autumn was saying, is the dairy is a building that they can stay over in. So it just talks about the number of kids their animals are entering, who they prefer to house with, are they signing up for youth showmanship, and then it goes into entry forms. In the lodging, it does talk about lodging, what nights they're going to be staying over, that they're residing in the dairy barns. So if they're showing dairy, we need to know this, and who their parent or guardian name is, phone number, and it just talks about the medical release form. Same stuff that we've always asked. It's just now going virtual. So dairy forms. So dairy's always got to have forms that's uploaded. So they've got to have a, and I don't think Debbie is on. Did she jump on since I've been on? I don't think so. New York State Fair show expectations or conduct overnight. So this is a form that they have to fill out. So they can actually go right on there, upload the form right onto this link, right onto the Qualtrics form. Non-ownership form, if they have a non-ownership form, they can just take a picture, upload it, or if it's on their computer, they can upload it. And then they also need to send a copy of the registration form, registration papers in, so they can just upload them in here. So I'm not going to go through all species, but that's basically what we're doing with a Qualtrics form on there. The one thing I will say when we're looking at this, let me see if I can, is if they're showing more than one animal, they will have to go back and do the top for every animal like they've done in the past. So our ultimate goal was that they would just be able to do all the species, but we haven't figured that out in Qualtrics, and I'm not sure Qualtrics has that capacity to do it. So so if they're showing beef, they have to do this. If they're also showing goats, they'll have to do this. So they'll have to do it twice on that. So
Brian, just to clarify, because you initially said they have to do this for each animal. They have to do this for each species.
Sorry, not each animal, each species, right? So it's one form per species. So I think the goats got 20 spots that they can upload in for animals. We tried to put like what's been maximum for each kid entering in the past, right? Some for sheep, I think has been 10. So there's actually rules. I think beef, they can only bring 10 per kid anyway. So on that. So that's what we have in there for space. Our goal is then once we have all this information, we'll then be able to send out the educators a list, a PDF or an Excel document with a list of every kid that is showing that species from that county to make sure that they qualified. In the years past, we've had the educators have had to sign off. Last year, we went away from that also, where Jen sent them a message saying, these are the kids that are enrolled, you just have to approve them. So we're just going to send you a PDF or Excel spreadsheet after the 4th. These are the kids that are planning on exhibiting at New York State Fair. Any questions? And then we also will be able to send that PDFs right to the superintendent, so they will have access to all that information also. Any questions on that part of it? Our goal with the premium book is next Friday. However, I do understand Zach is off all next week. So yes, Autumn. So we are not hopeful it will be next week. My goal is to have him everything that he needs by tomorrow night. But that doesn't mean anything. So we are hopeful that we'll have this out not long after July 4th. And next year, our goal is to have this out by April 1st. But we're all shaking our heads. at our
There's-
point. So
I just want to say there's been a huge learning curve, and this is for everybody involved, especially coming out of the pandemic and new people. And I know that you all heard that last year as well. But it really truly is a very large learning curve for everybody. There's some things that historically were done that are not necessarily how State Fair wishes to continue to do those certain things or operate in that way. We have new leadership at the State Fair with a new director. So there's just a lot of new things. And so everybody's patience is greatly appreciated. We recognize that some of this stuff is coming out very late for this year, but there are many of these items that are outside of our control. And we're just trying to do the best that we can to make sure everybody has as much information as we can provide as we have it. That's why this session was important, not only for new folks that have not experienced this, and so you don't know what had transpired before, but for those of us that have been here for a while, this is like my 20th State Fair. Not in this role, but 20th State Fair, working in the system. And things have changed every year for those 20 years. And I know Brian's the same thing. You know, you've been here for a while, Brian, things change all the time. So
yeah, and I would just say the same thing, right? And so the superintendents, and even in the superintendent's defense, right? I've actually sent some of them the books this week for the first time. They have not seen them until I sent to them this week. You know, and it's something that I've learned that hopefully next year we can alleviate some of these issues ahead of time. We do have a great communication right now with State Fair. We're meeting with, as far as Autumn and the animal science team are meeting with them every other week, and they are responsive. So I kudos to them for opening the door to allowing us to have that open communication and meeting with them every other week at this point. And they are very tuned to keeping that going. And to help reconcile a lot of these issues and move forward for next year in their defense on that. So I hope that helps. It doesn't help us this year, but we are determined to make it the best year possible and to get everything out to you guys in a timely manner and to alleviate some of the hiccups from last year already. And we've been doing that as a team, working very closely together as state staff.
thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. And welcome. Baptismal by fire. Welcome. So that kind of brings us to the end of the topics that were on tap for today. I do want to open it up for questions that may have come up or that you've thought about since the beginning. So if you have questions, please do pop them in the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself to ask.
And this is Christina Gabalski in Orleans County. I'm really glad that you're here this year. It's great to have you on for all this State Fair stuff. I just want to be clear, like when the animal science youth, they will be going into ShowWorks themselves and doing the entry. They will be going into Qualtrics themselves and doing that entry. And then we get that follow up with, to approve those entries.
That is correct. So it will be up to the families and the individuals to do that. With that said, right, I think there's an opportunity as far as educators to work with them if they do have questions, right? If there's not computer access, maybe having them setting a time where they can come to the office and walk them through it. We're hopeful that is an opportunity that we can provide at the county level too. So yes, but they can go on, set up the account through ShowWorks. It's something that you as educators can't do anyway. Can you help them? 100%, but it's not something you can do through the ShowWorks. It is a private account access that they have to set up an email and passwords and stuff like that. So, and then the Qualtrics, the same thing.
Thanks.
I will tell you on the same note, just so you guys know, our goal is next year is to do one entryway, but we're not sure we can get there just by our risk management tools that we need and information that we need for superintendents and for our risk management. So, but that's the goal, but I'm not 100% we can get there.
I do see in the chat that Richard asked about exhibit cards being county specific. And do we provide them? No, the State Fair is no longer providing them. So we have come up with the easiest form that is available on the staff site under State Fair, under evaluations. And that is editable form that you can put your county name on and the youth name. But that will have to be printed at the county.
Yes, there is a current link to find them, Richard. It's on the state site. I'll show you. Those forms are available. That part I did get to, and that is here. If you go to the state staff site, again, this is the public facing site, so everyone can see this. So if you need to send your kids directly to this, you can do that. This is how Jen Bassman had originally set this up. So we've not changed any of those parameters. But if you go here and you click on more information, it gives you the option here for the exhibit cards that Wendy talked about. So there's a print version, a fillable version, and then the universal evaluation form, print version, fillable version. So either you can print them in your office and distribute them to have them handwritten in, or if a kid wants to fill out the universal evaluation form at home on their own computer, they can do that and print it and attach it to the project. Just as long as everybody is aware of how that's going to happen, you can do it one of two ways in your county. Looking to the, there's, because I'm on the live site, so I'm not sure.
So Autumn, you and I are both signed in though.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be public. All right, I will have to look into that, Richard. It's good to know that that is a difficulty now rather than finding out later. So let me check into that. But this is supposed to be the public facing side of the site. So this should, everyone should be able to find them. So I will check into that. Thank you. Okay. All right, other questions? Okay. I will look into it, Richard. I will see what we can come up with. Because there are also challenges in that we have to format the site, not only for your desktop, but we have to format it differently in order for people to access it on their phone. So it's actually two separate editing processes that we have to go through to make sure that it is accessible both on your phone as well as on your desktop. Two very different processes. It doesn't automatically do both of them. So I will look into that and see if we can get that fixed. Anything else, folks? Brian, can you pop your email address into the chat for anyone that would like? And I will also do mine. So that if folks need to reach out to us about any concerns or questions they have, please do so. I know that Wendy already popped hers into the chat a little bit earlier. So please do reach out to us with any questions that you have about these things. Even if you're not sure who to reach out to, any one of the three of us can figure out who a question needs to be forwarded to if there are questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And I know within the animal science team, it's the same thing. So if you are not sure who animal science wise to reach out to, it does not matter whether you email Debbie or Brian or Brianna, it does not matter. Email them, because if they're not sure of the answer, they will direct you to the correct person. So I know that team's working really hard to make sure that people's questions get answered and that things are adequately communicated, both not only with State Fair, but just in general as things move forward and as Brian gets fully onboarded to this new professional experience. All right. So I am going to go ahead and say goodbye and thank you all for joining us today. Oh, Heidi.
I got one more question I just thought of. Just out of curiosity, is the deadline, is our 4-H deadline the same deadline as if, so I have kids that go for 4-H beef, but they also go for open. So is the deadline the same date?
I believe so. State
I
Fair-
believe so. However, I noticed on one of the animal science, and I can't remember which one it is, on the state open, on the state animal science, on the state open animal science, some of their deadlines are in the middle of July.
We'll
So
have to
just
check.
be
Yeah.
cognitive of that, right? So the animal science at 4-H is, the youth is all the same. We're trying to keep it all the same, but there are some open shows that have an earlier deadline. So definitely look at the New York State State Fair competitions page, because they do have to enter somewhere else, they have to enter a different location for that. So if they're doing open, just remember they have to enter in 4-H and open.
Yeah. Okay. It's
So,
just-
and I, go ahead.
No, Autumn, that just made me think, do you know if they're gonna do the dog photo contest this year?
So yes, there is plans to do the dog photo contest. I'm in the process of speaking with Kathy Chambly, who is willing to come back a little bit to State Fair. She does not want to do 13 days, but she is willing to facilitate the dog photo contest. Again, now that
That's
we're getting
usually a
back-
July 15th deadline.
Yeah, so I need to check. I have not heard from Kathy, so I need to check back with her because she handles that particular offering for State Fair. So I will check with her and I will let everybody know if that date is different than the 4th of August.
And I am on the State Fair website. Llamas is July 31st. Dairy goats is July 21st. So there's a little bit of difference in there on that, but just be cognizant of that on there at this point. So there is a little bit of difference but most are August 4th.
I love your background decoration there, Heidi. Lots of beautiful ribbons hanging on the wall there.
Thanks. Most of them are from my boys.
Okay. Any other questions? Because I don't want to miss anybody. If you have one burning to make its way across the desk. All right. So we will hold another session for State Fair information next month. I just need to make sure that the date, it would be our normal Spark Space date, which is usually the second Wednesday of the month, but I need to make sure that that does not conflict with anything, as I know that that will be an important session. So we will have another Spark Space to specifically discuss State Fair and any questions that have come up as we are moving through these processes. So
Wonderful.
Animal Science will be able to join us then as well, so that we can continue to answer your questions, continue to provide the necessary support in order for your counties and your kids to be able to participate at the New York State Fair. So in the meantime,
Quick question in the chat, Autumn,
Yeah.
the dog show,
dog show
is
is
when-
opening day.
Yeah,
Dog show is
it's-
opening day in the Coliseum.
Wednesday, the 23rd, same as it
Yes.
was last year.
Mhm.
Pretty much the shows are all about the same schedule.
Yes, the next meeting will be recorded as well. I recognize everybody is busy and we are rolling into fair season. So I'm very, very conscious of that. And so any of the sessions that I hold or anyone holds, I would at least say that mine will be recorded, and I would think that everybody else's would as well, just to make sure that we are able to provide adequate supports to folks. Okay. I think that might be it. We can hope, fingers crossed. All right,
Thanks,
folks,
everybody.
thank you very much, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Enjoy your afternoon.
Bye, guys. Thank you.